Hey
Nice.
there.
Hey, how you doing, Amy?
I'm doing great.
Good. I see some people coming in, hopping online. This is exciting.
It really is. It's good to be with you
Yes.
guys.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you all for joining us. This is a big topic that we're talking about today. My name is Lisa Bates, and I have the pleasure of helping out with some Thrive projects here and there, and also have the opportunity to host today. So I'm really excited to be with you all, and thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, Amy, for joining us. This is so great to just
Yeah,
see your face and
I
hear.
know. We are really learning
Yeah.
how to appreciate the joy of connection in this time, aren't we?
We sure are. Absolutely. Yes, and I am particularly excited to hear what you're going to share with us today about having peace in this pandemic because it is wearing on all of us. I
It
know. Yeah,
is.
it
It
is. And
really,
so,
really is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I would love to hear. Feel free to just go ahead and start with whatever you have for us. And
okay.
yeah, take it away.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to see all of you here. I let's see. I'm gonna see who all is here. Yeah, so I see some of my friends, Cindy and Candia and Christy, Dale. It's good to see you and Glenna and all the rest of you. Hoka. Those that I don't know, hey, Papa Joe, it's good to see you that you're here. Um, and so I'm just so glad that all of you are here with us today because I know all of you care about your own personal peace, but also you really want to share the peace that we can find from Jesus with others in this time. And so I'm thankful that we have been able to share the Passing the Peace in our previous webinar. And then Life Model Works has been having Passing the Peace on Facebook every day. And so tune in there. It's usually at 2 p.m. Eastern. And and we'll tell you about some other resources here in a few minutes. But you know, right now, life is such a balancing act for all of us. We are balancing things in a different way than we have ever had to do before. So there are literally millions of people who are at home with their children who are suddenly in the position of being almost homeschool teachers, and they didn't make that choice and weren't prepared for that. Teachers are scrambling to become online teachers when they were used to teaching in a classroom. And also we have to remember that there are thousands and thousands of teachers who are at home trying to be online teachers while their own children are at home needing to be taught.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
and then we have lots of these people who are teaching their children at home are also trying to work from home. We have husbands and wives and adult children who are in a house together, all trying to work. And so that may mean that we are trying to share devices and our internet is being challenged, and we're just having a rough time. So it's just the logistics of it are
Mhm.
enough to bring some, lack of peace, some agitation, even to rise up some of our negative emotions. And then we have to like layer on top of that the fact that all of us are grieving. So we may be grieving the fact that there are people in our lives who are sick, but even if we don't have anybody that we know of who is suffering from COVID-19, we are grieving a way of life. And we are grieving the loss of our normal life. We are not, even if we previously thought, wow, some of these people I work with are challenging to work with. Now we are thinking, oh, wow, it was a lot easier to work in an office than it is at home and trying to connect and answer questions and all of that kind of stuff. churches are so used to having face-to-face connection for the way that we are the body of Christ in the world. And so that's a huge challenge, is people that are used to going to church and people who are used to leading the church. And then also just not being able to see friends, trying to explain this to our children. So this is a time of grief, some fear of the unknown. We know that life is not going to be exactly the same when we return to it, when we come out of this. And so that is a fearful time. And so I don't say that to amplify the fear. I say that to tell you, wow, extend yourself lots of grace, lots of grace. You know, I had a friend who was sharing with me that she had snapped at her children, and she felt so bad that she snapped at her children. And I've told a number of people over the last month, when they are upset with themselves about how they handled something, I say the two words, global pandemic. Okay. If it took a global pandemic to like disturb your peace, cause you to like or lose it with your kids or your spouse, or then, you know, just extend grace to yourself. Something that I was thinking about the other day and shared with some friends is that this is, I think it is not too dramatic to say that this is the first time in the history of man that the entire planet has been suffering together, and that we are not suffering because of a war or starvation. You know, there's not an enemy. It's just this virus, and we all know about it. So we all know at the same time that everybody is suffering. So there's a collective suffering that is going on, but there's also, we are all in this together. There is nobody that is not in this. And so that is, it's an incredible opportunity for each one of us. It's an incredible opportunity for us to grow in our ability to feel for other people, to have compassion and empathy. It's an incredible opportunity for us to share the peace that comes from knowing Jesus, and just to be with each other. And so I think we all, that's like the biggest thing, is for us to realize, yes, this is huge, and therefore, yes, it has affected our capacity. It has affected our ability to be the people that God created us to be, because we're really being stretched. And so, yeah, so we can extend lots of grace to ourselves in this. Of course, we can say, of course, I am not being myself. This is a time that has never been experienced in the history of man. So why would I be hard on myself if I'm having a difficult time?
Yeah, Amy, that's so good. That's such a good reminder. And I really hear you saying this is important for us to acknowledge our grief.
Yes.
You know, I hear you saying it's not about amplifying the
Right.
fear. It's about acknowledging the hurt and the sadness behind it. And we are grieving. I know for us at here in West Michigan, my church family is grieving the loss of Easter together. I mean, that's a huge deal to us. And that is one thing that has been really hard, is to not be together as a church, like you said, and really allowing ourselves to cry over that. Like, that's okay.
Yes.
You know, that we are upset, and comforting each other in that. I really hear you reaching through to comfort us, and it feels really good. Yeah.
Oh, good. I think about one time when Jim Wilder was talking about someone that was grieving a loss, and grieving a loss for a long period of time, and Jim was able to share with him, and this person shared back with Jim, I'm the kind of person that this would hurt. I'm the kind of person that would feel this deeply. So we are the kind of people that would grieve not being together on such an important day, or not being able to be together on a regular basis. That's the characteristics that God has put within us. And so that's a beautiful thing and a painful thing at the same time. So one of the things I wanted to share today is that we have to go back and master our basic skills first. So this is a time when, if you are aware of relational circuits, then you know that our capacity at a certain time affects our ability to keep our relational circuits on. And so we want to be remembering our relational circuits. Am I feeling like I want to hear and share with other people what's going on in their life? Am I feeling like I can see my part in the problem and I'm not just wanting to judge someone else? So we want to be aware of our relational circuits. We really, really, really want to be aware of our connection with God. This is a time for us to learn the Emmanuel lifestyle, the God with me lifestyle of walking throughout the day. And really being at home gives us a perfect opportunity to practice that. Because when I'm working from home or when I'm with my kids at home, I can say, okay, Amy, you need to stop. You need to take some deep breaths. You need to go to an appreciation memory. Jesus, where are you? And so we can do that throughout the day, many, many times. We can set a reminder on our phone every 30 minutes to be aware of our relational circuits and our connection with God. So that connection with God is really, really the key to everything. But right now it is definitely the key to keeping our peace. Some of the other basic skills are mastering and paying attention to our rhythms of joy and quiet. So if we have children in our home, we want to have a balance, because we've got kids that have to do schoolwork, but we also want to have glad to be together joy, and we want to have some quieting. So it's a good idea to say, we're going to have our, a minute or two of quieting in the midst of doing our schoolwork. And if they need to move around to quiet, that's okay. Let's give them breaks as well. And then another basic skill, but one that I didn't get at all growing up and have had to really work with, is returning to the joy, returning to that sense of being glad to be with others in difficult emotions. And so this is an opportunity to work on that as well, to how do I get back to being glad to be together when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm fearful, when I feel shame over the fact that I don't know how to get my kids to settle down. I know my daughter was talking to me and it was really challenging. She has 3 children that are in different grades with different needs. And, she was really frustrated and feeling like this is impossible. So, so we need to just master those basic skills. And so we can't cover all of that here today, but I know we have some basic skill resources that we can share with our listeners. So could you share those, Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, the first one is more of these webinars. You can go back through our Facebook and through a Thrive Today's website, thrivetoday.org, and you can still register for some of the old webinars and receive the recordings. Today also, you're welcome to share this recording with those who weren't able to attend. And then, of course, we have the blog. Jen Corsi writes this blog and does a wonderful job using her own examples of parenting during this time. She's really inspired me with some of her stories and techniques. And I encourage you all, whatever stage of life you're in, to go ahead and look at her blog. She's got all different ideas and topics of things to help with, especially relational skills. She
Mm-hmm.
will refer to it as relational mode a lot. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another term for that. So go ahead and search for relational mode in that blog as well, and you'll find some more things. And then we also have more videos. Jen and Chris together have been doing a great job of sharing some videos during this time. They're brief, they're not long,
Yeah.
you know. That's what's great, is they're just quick kind of encouragement, uplifting
Yeah. Those have been
moments.
so much fun, haven't
They
they?
have, they really have, yes. And I know for myself, if my RCs are going off, that's one of the things I'll do, is try to find a quiet corner and at least just watch that by myself for 5 minutes, even if I have to lock myself in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find those on our Facebook page. Also, the link is there as well. And then YouTube. We are posting them in both places. So lots of resources, lots of places for you to check out and to dig in a little further. And then Amy is also going to be teaching us a more in-depth training coming up here on the 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's really going to dig into using the relational skills to see things from God's perspective.
Yeah.
So it's a more intense version of this, although it
Mm-hmm.
gives you get to interact with others and you get to do some practicing, which is why Thrive exists. So we want you to really get to use the relational skills and get to
Yeah.
practice them so your brain knows how to do it. Otherwise, it's just theory, right? You can't put it into practice. And then, of course,
Right.
those recordings are available afterwards as well. And then finally, we have all of our online events from past 3-hour interactive trainings. The online practice community and the relational building blocks events are now $10 each. So for those who didn't get to go to any of those 3-hour trainings, like
Mm-hmm.
you just saw, you can actually go back and purchase ones that you feel you would want to go ahead and learn more about as well, and get to see those practices in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got some great stuff.
Yeah, and you can play those. You can actually share your screen and share click to share your sound, and so you can ask other people to also register for these previous events. All of you register for just $10 each, and you can watch it together, and
Oh,
then
that's a
come.
great idea.
Yeah, do the exercises together and discuss it. And you're not limited to the 3 hours, so that if you're together and you want to do the first hour and do those exercises and then talk about it more, you can do that. So that's a lot of fun. And you can do that with your small group from church, with your family members, invite them, say, hey, we have this thing, this teaching that's about relational circuits, and let's all get together and do that. So I invite you guys to plug into that.
I love that. That's such a great suggestion. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So, well, let's
Awesome.
move on. So the thing that we are wanting to really plug into for peace in this time is our connection with God, our connection with Jesus. He is the Prince of Peace. So I'm going to share with you a couple of verses from the Message. Sometimes listening to verses from a translation that is a little bit different can kind of stir us up, help us to see things from a different perspective. And so Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which most of us know very well, but in the Message, it says, trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track. And that's really what we want. That's really so applicable right now with so many unknowns, that we would just trust Him from the bottom of our hearts and not try to figure everything out on our own. It's just impossible. And as we go through our day to listen for his voice. And we're going to talk about some practical ways that help us do that. And then the other verse I wanted to share with you is Philippians 4, 6, and 7, also from the Message. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. I love that. I love that. That sense of God's wholeness. God is not, he is concerned for us during this time. He feels with us. He grieves with us, but he is still whole. When we may feel double-minded or kind of fractured by what is happening, he is still whole. He can still show us what we need to see. And one of the things that we teach at Thrive is how to move from appreciation to connection to interaction with God. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but a couple of questions that is wonderful to ask God in times like this are, God, what do you want me to know? So as we're praying about these things, as we're giving these worries to him, we don't have to just put it all out there and leave it, like we're, putting something on a plate out there and seeing what he does with it. We can ask, what do you want me to know? What do here's this big platter full of worries and concerns that I have. What do you want me to know about that? Mm-hmm. And then another wonderful question is, who do you want to be for me today? What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Who do you want to be for me today? There's, God is so multifaceted and he can be so many different things for us. Mm-hmm. So we want to ask him, who do you want to be? Do you want to be my Abba, my daddy? For me to climb up in your lap and just snuggle up and hear your heartbeat? Do you want to be my refuge? You want to be my strong protector, my fortress? There are so many images. Mm-hmm. So we can ask him that. And so then the next thing, the other thing about this, once we are connected with God and once this other piece that we are going to be needing to do in the next weeks and months is to support others once you are connected. And so I really wanted to share about this, about the tools of validation and comfort, because people are going to be coming to you with their concerns. And there is a way to sit with someone in their concerns without getting overwhelmed yourself, without having to go to the level of anxiety that they are in, but to let them know that you really care. And so in the book, Rare Leadership, Dr. Wilder and Dr. Warner talk about validation, comfort, and repattern, which just means when we offer this validation and comfort over a period of time, then it helps the other person repattern their brain. And as we receive it from others, it repatterns our brain. So we see actually a good example of validation and comfort is what a good parent will do for a small child when they scrape their knee. And they come to you and they're crying, oh, I hurt my knee. Oh, you got a boo-boo. I'm so sorry. Does that hurt? Oh, let me kiss it. And then once we have felt their pain, we have hugged them, we have loved them, we have kissed them, then we can say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I love how my daughter says, be brave to my little granddaughter, be brave. And so she's not invalidating her feelings at all, but she's just saying, we're going to get through this. You're going to make it. And so and when we do that, that's a great picture of validation and comfort. And when we do that for babies, for little ones, then over time we notice that they are able to do it for themselves and for their friends. So it's an amazing moment. I have twins, and I remember as they got a little bit bigger, maybe 3 and 4 years old, I would see them validate and comfort each other. And so they might get hurt or upset, and they would, say, oh, it hurts, and they would say, oh, it hurts, and I can remember times when they would kiss each other's boo-boos and say, it's going to be okay. It's so sweet to hear them,
It's so
patting
cute.
each other.
Yeah, so cute.
It'd be okay. It'd be okay.
Yeah.
And so this is actually what happens also for us as adults, that when we pass this on to each other, and it helps us learn. So, so what does validation and comfort look like? So validation is basically to acknowledge and to say, I see how big this is for you. And so when somebody is sharing with us, whether it's their fear or their anger, whatever, their joy, we can say, oh, yeah, I can see how you would feel that way. Tell me more. How did that feel? So when somebody says, oh my goodness, my friend just told me, well, pre-virus, my friend told me she couldn't go to lunch today, and I went to the restaurant and I saw her there with someone else. Oh, Lisa, wow. How did that feel? So I'm giving you an opportunity to tell me how that felt.
Yes.
And then you can let me know. And go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to add a light bulb moment for me with validation was that I don't necessarily have to agree with that person to validate them.
Yes.
I think we think that by validating somebody's feelings, we're saying, I am in agreement with you.
Yes.
So if my kid trips and falls, and to me, it didn't look like it was a big deal, I can still say, that was for you, but me that I'm saying it was a big deal. I'm just validating how that felt for them. So I think that's a key thing, especially in the church. We sometimes validate people who are struggling with sin and think that by validating their struggle, we're saying we agree with it. And that's not what we're saying at all.
No,
so, yeah,
no.
I just had
And
to share that.
Yes, thank you so much. And the other piece that I think is important to understand is that validation does not mean that I take on your emotion and go to that same level with you.
Right.
So if you are angry at something that has happened in your life, I can say, oh man, you are really mad about this, aren't you? Tell me about that. You can tell me about it. And I don't have to then become angry on your behalf.
Right.
I can be a calm presence. And so actually, when I'm a calm presence and I'll allow you to share how angry you are, I am validating you, but I am not amplifying. So I'm not saying, oh yeah, that would really make me mad too, and I would go and we're not amplifying. We're validating. We're saying,
very good.
I can see how big this is. And to say, what else would you like to tell me? Or what else happened? Or, and how does that feel? So, I used to share in my recovery classes with the men, I would say, you know what? You can say 2 questions and your wives will think you are the best listeners ever. What else happened? And how did that feel? And you just keep saying, oh, really? And what else?
You're
and
saving marriages here.
But, that's what people want, is for somebody to hear the whole story and know how it felt. So that's validation. And I'm here to tell you that no one can receive comfort until they feel validated.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not going to be able to move on to that comfort until someone's been validated. And it is so challenging, because we can sometimes be uncomfortable with someone's negative emotions or difficult emotions. And so we want to help move them out of that as quickly as possible. And so we want to go straight to comfort. We want to go straight
Right.
to, oh, it's going to get better. And, and here's all the ways. So let me share with you what comfort is. So we're going to fully validate. And then comfort is, you are not alone in this. Okay, so I am with you. Man, thank you for telling me about this. Thank you for trusting me with this. I'm so glad I can sit with you in this sadness, or I'm with you in your anger. I'm glad you told me about this fear. And, and if the person is aware of God, yeah, God is with you as well. And so, and then the next step for comfort, and we have to really make sure that somebody has been fully validated before we offer this part of comfort. And so the two parts of comfort are, you are not alone in this, and there is still good in the world. Okay. Now, there is still good in the world is going to feel like dismissing if we haven't fully validated, and if they don't feel like we are really with them. So
yeah, comfort could actually be damaging, right? I mean, you could really kind of undo something that you were, trying to help with if you haven't done the full validation process, right?
Yes. And if they don't know that we are really with them. So if you told me that there was something going on at your child's school that you were concerned about, and I went right straight to, well, we know it's a really good school, or at least the teacher told you, then you would be like, whoa. Yeah, we are not there.
Right.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
that happened with my husband, and it was a funny story, but he basically said, "Dad, you don't mean that." And my husband was like, "Oh, well, actually, you're right. I don't." He could tell by his tone that he wasn't sincerely, concerned with what my son was concerned about. So that can happen.
Yeah. And so when we get those messages from somebody, because you know what, we are not going to validate and comfort perfectly. It is a skill, and we are learning it. And again, remember, our capacity is really stretched during this time. So my ability to do all of the relational skills, all of the connecting skills and practices is really challenged right now. So, I may have to just apologize and go, you know what? I really wasn't listening well when you were saying that. I'm sorry. Yes, please tell me about it. I was distracted and thinking about my own issue, or I was, thinking about something else. So we can, we just move back a step if we realize, oh, I kind of blew that. So, there is still good in the world is where we can offer, wow, I am glad you were able to share that with me. Or I am glad that, for instance, if we were talking about something that happened at your child's school, oh, wow, you know what? I am glad that you and Paxton can deal with this together. Wow, I am. So we're not saying, it's not a big deal. but we are helping, and so there is, so we can say, even though this is very hard, is there something that you can feel grateful for at this time? You don't have to feel grateful for something in the situation, but, and we can also ask people, what helps when you're feeling like this? Okay, I had my good friend, Tony Daniels, would say, what helps when you're feeling like this, and then offer the things that are within your capacity. Sometimes people don't know what they need in a time like this, so you can say, do you want me just to listen some more? Do you want me to pray for you? Do you want to listen to Jesus together about this? If you have the capacity, do you want me to help you look for resources? But this is really good because it not only helps someone identify, wow, what do I need right now? But it also enables you to offer what is within your capacity.
Yes, that is key.
Yes.
What is within your capacity? I'm glad you said that.
Yes, because if we just leave it wide open, well, what would help you at this time? Well, yeah, money is really tight, so could we move in with you? If that's not within your capacity, or, could it, yes, oh yes, if you would loan me $500, not within our capacity, then, and of course, we have to say at that point, yeah, I am not able to do that, but here are the things I can do. So to kind of, to go into that, letting them know what we have capacity to do. So let's take a minute of break. I'm gonna, got a couple of questions here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you wanted to do those at the end or while we were talking, but we didn't get a good chance. So
yes, yeah. Why don't we? So we have one person that missed the references for the Bible verses, and those were Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and Philippians 4, 6, and 7. And then somebody asked a really good question here. What tools can I use to stop the negative thoughts that the enemy brings? And how can I be free from fear of something bad happening to me? So one of the things, we can, and somebody else just asked about the scripture passage from Proverbs. I think they got it, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So how can I be free from fear of something bad happening to me? You can't. You can't be completely free from fear of something bad happening to you, because something bad might happen to you. But you can practice the skills of appreciation and quieting to get back to the place of joy, of being glad to be with others, being able to be glad with God, being able to hear from Him about that, because He is going to be with you. Jesus told us that in this world we would have tribulation. He did not say that we were not going to face bad things. He, as a matter of fact, promised us that we would face bad things. And so that is one of the things, is to be able to quiet ourselves in that fear. And in the same way, we have to learn to quiet ourselves in our grief over what is happening. And so to stop the negative thoughts is to go to appreciation, go to and stay with it. So we'll talk about this in just a minute. about how to stay with appreciation so that it does its full work. And also just telling, just saying, okay, I got to quiet that. Okay. And I'll tell you, this is a recognizing. It's really good that you shared that these are negative thoughts that the enemy is sending and that he brings, because that's one step, is recognizing that. And so, so we can actually just say, I see you. I see you. I see what you are doing. And I am going to connect with Jesus and see what he wants me to know. And we can also do spiritual warfare and send him back to the feet of Jesus. So that's what a good friend of mine used to say. I see you and I send you back.
Okay. That is good.
Yeah. So I think you were going to say something, Lisa.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to ask, is this a good place where you could invite Jesus into that with you? I know that's something I've learned recently. I'm very commonly in hopeless despair and overwhelm. So one thing that's been a lifeline for me is like, Jesus, will you come be with me in this fear or in this overwhelm or in this hopeless despair? So I was just wondering if you think that's a valid tool there too. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. He's glad to be with us. He's glad to be with us when the enemy has filled our mind with all kinds of terrible stuff. And so he will be with us. Another excellent question. How do you do validation when people share fake news and conspiracy theories? That is such a good question. So what we are doing, again, is to validate their feelings. We are not validating their reality. So we could say, wow, it sounds like that's really scaring you. Sounds like you are feeling really untrusting. Is that how you're feeling?
That's really good.
Is that how you're feeling? How does that make you feel to think that, So we do not have to enter in, and we also don't have to try and convince them that that's not true. By validating how they feel and letting them know that we are with them, even if they are feeling a way that's very different than how we feel, that helps bring that fear and anger. Really, there's a tremendous amount of anger involved with conspiracy theories. And so, we can just bring that level of fear and anger down and and comfort them that we are with them. And then if they are able to receive it, we can still look for, there is still good in the world, where, we'll, wow, that is big. So what is encouraging to you during this time? What are you trusting if you feel like you can't trust the media or, whatever it is? What is helpful to you at this time? And again, if it's a believer, inviting Jesus in. Wow, why don't we ask Jesus what he wants you to know about that? So let's move on to the next. So I want to talk about passing the peace. We did a whole webinar on that, but here's where we can go with validation and comfort of others, is to say, well, there's a process that sort of helps. I learned how to do this. And so would you like to do that with me? And then just ask them, what is something for which you are grateful? And it can be something really small and immediate. It doesn't have to be the, thing for which they were the most grateful in the world. And then the most important thing, so this is important with with appreciation, and especially appreciation if we're trying to move into interaction with God. Chris and Jen say that the hardest thing about connecting people with God is that they will not sit in appreciation long enough to get their brains into that plasticity, into that openness to God.
Mm-hmm.
So sit with appreciation for a full 3 minutes, 5 minutes if you're having a hard time. If you need to have a journal, that's good. If you need to look out the window at something, you know, so that you're seeing something. If you need to look at pictures, you know, look at pictures of those who bring you joy, or pictures of nature. That's huge for me. I get a new picture every day on my screen. It gives, you know, on my computer. And those are just like, they bring me joy almost every single day. I'm like, wow, that's really neat. You know, and some mornings I just take some time to just look at that and turn that into an appreciation memory. So sit with your gratitude and appreciation for long enough for your mind to get really malleable and ready and receptive. And then open up your heart and mind to receive peace. And so if you're doing this with someone else, you can ask them, what brings you peace? What is something that brings you peace? And to think about that and ask God, what do you want me to know about that?
Mm-hmm. Could you describe, I have people ask often if they have a hard time experiencing peace. They don't really know what to look for. They're not always sure what that feels like. Could you describe that a little bit for us?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So peace, in our bodies, peace can be equated to relaxation. So we may feel the tension in our chest release a little bit. We may feel a warmth. We may feel our shoulders, you know, go down. We may feel our heart rate kind of reducing, or all of a sudden we can let out a breath. So, and then emotionally, you could think of peace as similar to rest, or a sense that things are going to be okay, or things are in place. So, you know, so even if, you know, I'm looking, we've got lots of things going on, we don't know exactly what is happening in the world, but I have this sense that, okay, God, you are walking with me through this. You are going to give me what I need in this, and you are going to help. So yeah, is that helpful?
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to mention, we had a comment from one of our people here who also suggested music.
Yes.
To help with appreciation.
Yes.
So great suggestion.
Yeah. Thank you, Dale. Yeah. Yes, music. If there is music, is because sound, I mean, hearing is one of the senses that is online from birth. Sound is really, really powerful. So music that was associated with joyful or peaceful times in your life. And of course, we love worship music and hymns and praise music, any of those things, but also just music that we associate with a peaceful time in our lives or a joyful time in our lives can be powerful. So it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be music that is Christian, but Christian music can be a big help. So if you, I always note at church, always write down if there's a song that really hits me, I'll write it down, because sometimes after church, you know, I'll get out and I'll be like, man, that was a really good song, and I don't remember what it was at all. And so I write those down. And then I usually go into iTunes and add them to my phone so that I can play them again. So yeah, music is hugely important. And I would also recommend that if you are grieving things like a relationship or something like that, don't play the music that was part of that bonding process. I always used to tell people in recovery, don't play the music that you got high to or that you drank to. So don't play the party music. Play other music.
Yeah. I never
Yes,
thought of that. That's so, yeah,
very
that's so
powerful.
interesting. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Okay.
same thing with your sense of smell. So if there is somebody that you are really missing right now, and there's a smell associated with them, if it's a grandchild and you have bathed them in some kind of baby soap, get some of that soap. I keep a bar of Dove soap because my mom always, always, always bathed in Dove soap. And there were times when I would go in her bathroom and sit while she was bathing, and it was warm and I could smell the soap, and we would have these little conversations. And so I keep Dove soap, and I like the way it
Yeah.
smells, and so things like that. Think of what smells do you like? What smells bring you peace?
That's good.
Yeah. So, if you had certain candles that you burn at holidays or at a time when you were, really enjoyed or were peaceful, lotion, anything that the smell that brings with you. So a few just little practical tools is to build our joy and peace during this time, and then to carry it into our lives and beyond, is to share highlights of your day at home and with others, and and I would encourage you, if you are on social media, share your highlights of the day on social media. The other day I commented that I walked past a house that had used sidewalk chalk, and they had all these messages written on their driveway, and it was just, you are loved, and so forth. So share those on social media or with your family when you come together for dinner or whatever. What was the highlight of your day? What was good about today? Get on Zoom and connect with people. Zoom is, or Google Hangouts or anything. Call them on the phone. And then if you are looking for resources, then using Relational Skills in the Bible or Transforming Fellowship are great books to use with a group. You can get on Zoom and talk about them and do the exercises. And so I really recommend that. I wanted to share a few comments that we've got here. So someone said, I was really struggling with fear this last weekend. Instead of beating myself up for lack of faith, I was able to write a lament. Here I felt validated by Jesus and myself. So that is a really great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said, I still use Zest soap because it reminds me of my grandma. So we may all be going and buying a favorite soap after today.
Right.
And then another person said, whenever I hear a mourning dove cooing, I go to childhood memories of feeling comforted and being happy. Yeah, I heard some birds singing outside this morning, and it felt just really comforting to me.
I have a question for you, if that's okay. And I know we may not have time to finish it, but as you were describing smells, one of the things I thought about was, for a lot of people, food is often associated with a family member or a joyful memory. So where's that balance? Because I know that's a great way to bond.
Yes.
But we can't all bake chocolate chip cookies all day long to remember our grandmother. leave them in the house
Yes.
when we have nowhere to
Yeah.
go. So can you
Yeah.
talk a
So
little bit about that?
that's a great question. So during this time, it would be a good idea to make some of the comfort foods that mean a lot to us, but keeping ourselves focused on the people that reminds us of, and God for providing food for us is a way to keep us from. I noticed somebody said the other day, "Oh no, I'm gaining the COVID-19 from being at
I've
home."
heard
And
that too.
I was like, "Yes, I feel you,"
We
because
are all
it's,
doing that.
yeah, it is. We are at home more, and it is easy to go and get something from the cabinet when we're a little bit worried or bored. And so, yeah, so I think that tying those foods to the people and experiences and appreciation um, helps us um, loosen that bond of I'm bonding to the food.
Oh, good.
Help us remember that this food means a lot to me because I'm really bonded to my grandmother, or because my mom used to make these cookies, or you know, because whatever, you know, we used to eat this meal together or something. So
That's good. Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah, that
yeah.
really helps.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if other people have ideas or questions, ideas that you have used to help you either build joy or feel peace during this time. And so I'll give you guys, if you want to share in the chat, or if you want to share in the Q&A, we'd be glad to take questions or suggestions, because we've had some really good suggestions today, haven't we, Lisa?
Yeah, we really have. I did see one pop up at the bottom of the Q&A for the 1 Minute Pause app by
Mm-hmm.
John Eldridge. I believe
Yes.
he's that author that wrote Wild at Heart, right? And his wife
Yes.
Stacy wrote
Yes.
Captivating. They're great authors.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the one
So
minute pause app is what this
yes.
person is suggesting, which sounds like I'm going to download that right now, actually, while I'm thinking
Yes.
about it.
Yeah. And also Passing the Peace is an app as well as a process. So you can
I'm glad you
download
said
it
that.
on your phone. Yes, from lifemodelworks.org, and go to their resources. You can download it on your phone, and it just has the pictures, has a picture of someone feeling grateful, someone receiving peace, and then sharing the story, because sharing the story is an important part of passing the peace. So someone said, during this time, do more of the things you love and do you good. I love a bubble bath. So yeah, times to do those kinds of things that we
Mm-hmm.
often are not able to do when life is so busy. I would encourage everybody to think about what we want to resume when life goes back to normal. Do we want as many activities, our children to be involved in as much, ourselves? Do we, want to keep taking walks and so forth?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Someone else said Zoom with others has helped me as I miss seeing people's faces. Yes. FaceTime. We've been doing a lot of FaceTime with different people. Uh, yeah, Papa Joe says, hearing your voice and seeing you, Amy, builds my joy strength. Yeah, so he's one of my friends. It's so good to just seeing your names on here on our participants list makes me feel happy. Laura says, staying curious, learning a new skill has helped build joy in our house. One son is learning the bugle, and another is learning rollerblading skills.
Awesome.
Terry says the John Lopnell's podcast, which is Presence and Practice, and you can download that podcast. The breath prayer, um, specifically for her, is the one that's You Are My Shepherd. I have everything I need. And so a breath prayer is just when you say a couple of words as you're breathing in, and others as you're breathing out. So the Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. Yuta says, taking time to be creative in some way, doing a Corona sketch journal. Someone else says, making masks to donate has been a fun way to help. Yeah, that is great. And I have seen some people saying, have your children journal during this time, and draw pictures, and you know, you may want to take some videos of them. This is an historic time, and so for them to record how they spent this time is a good idea. And I love the idea of learning new skills or starting a new hobby. So I just appreciate all of these ideas. So I think our time is up, Lisa.
Yes, I think that was amazing that we got done right on the dot. So this has been a wonderful time, Amy. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us. And thank you all of you for joining us and giving us ideas. We will do our best to see if we can consolidate some of these resources and ideas people have had, and maybe we can include that in the email reminder for the video. I'll work with Amy to see if we can figure that out. So thank you all for joining us today. And yeah, Amy, thanks for blessing us. I've learned so much. I just want to stay. I mean, everyone probably feels that way. Like, let's just stay and look at each other.
I know. Let's enjoy. It's been great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Take care.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.